Wouldn't it be really funny to just leave it like this and people think it's frozen? 1, 2, 3. Greetings, sniffers of fume. It is I, Tom.
And Galen.
And this is Galen. And we are here to provide your 15 minutes of fume. We thought it would be fun to do a little year in review video. Did you realize that the year is almost over?
I did.
I don't know if you can tell
the
audience. I'm always kind of talking to whomever. Is anyone out there?
Is anyone listening?
Years are a conceit of the calendar system, and
12 months.
This one is ending, and it's hard to tell the difference at this point. I feel lost half the time. I don't know what day of the week it is. And I know that this is even now a kind of not even like that humorous conceit, because we've spent 6 months talking about how every month lasts 100 years. But this year has an end, and that end is approaching, and BPAL has been releasing perfumes continuously through it all, which is a minor miracle if you only knew. And I just thought, it's very interesting at the end of a year of releases to look and see, like, what are we still smelling? Because when stuff comes out, we fall in love with a bunch of different perfumes, we try everything, we get excited about something, but, like, I'm also interested in what is, like, there's the kind of the test of time where it's like, what are you still smelling that you bought and you're still enjoying? What do you still reach for time after time? And I wanted to do a year-end video that included last year's Yules, because, surprise, this year's Yules aren't out yet. And if they were, I wouldn't know which ones of them I would be wearing a year from now. So,
fair enough.
We're going to back it up all the way to Yule 2019.
I'm backing it up. Let me put it in reverse.
So, we just gathered a bunch of our favorite perfumes from the past year, the ones that we're still wearing, the ones that we still reach for time after time. And, what information can be gleaned about us as humans from those scents? Very little, but we do have a camera and access to the internet, so we thought, in case anyone else is curious, you can find out what we're still smelling. And I wanted to invite people to also go through their own perfume collections, stuff they've bought in the last year. What sticks with you? What are you still grabbing? I know some scents are more like occasional, and then others end up being something that you just never really let out of arm's reach.
Mm-hmm,
so let's back it up. We'll go all the way back to Yule 2019.
Backed it up.
Okay, I mean we've done backed it up.
Okay.
So it's Yule 2019. What did you pull any Yules from the past year that really stuck with you that you still are grabbing? No, so you have no Yules. No. Okay. Well, I have one. Does anyone
I'd like to hear about it? Yeah, I would. Go for it.
I thought no one would ask. Okay. Well, the one that I have specifically from Yule of last year that I grabbed is the Poinsettia gown. This is the one that earlier in the year I was just referring to as the gown because I felt kind of awkward wearing a Christmassy perfume later in the year. So the Poinsettia gown is rose cream, jasmine cream, mallow, vanilla foam, and sweet amber. So of course, nothing about that is like, it's not like fruitcake smell.
No.
It's not even winter specific, even though it is kind of warm and cozy. So I kind of forgot about it in the summer, and then someone posted about it online, and it jogged my memory, and I did some digging. But like, this is definitely the one from my stash that kind of kicked off the year for me in terms of wearing it daily for a long time. So I have no idea if it's returning this year or ever again, but it has aged really wonderfully because when I pulled it out recently, it seems creamier and maybe even like a little salty compared to when I was wearing it last year. So it's just gorgeous. And anyway, that is my Yule 2019 that I'm still wearing. What about you?
I lied. I do have a Yule 2019, and I'm so sorry with what I'm about to say because I might butcher it. It is a HANISSIM. And it's actually a Hanukkah one, and it's beeswax and amber.
Beeswax.
Beeswax.
Go figure.
So sorry, but I will be talking about beeswax a lot.
Beeswax Phoenix Alchemy Lab.
Yeah, it's just, you know, heavenly.
Can I smell it?
No. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
It smells like a crayon.
It does kind of, and don't, like, not in a bad way. Calm down.
No. People know what beeswax smells like. It's actually just like a really satisfying. It just isn't sweetened up with a lot of honey like some of the beeswax scents.
Yeah.
It's kind of
it does smell like a crayon.
Dry and earthy.
But like the good crayons.
We pronounce crayon differently. I actually say crayon, and you say
crayon.
Crayon.
Crayon. C-R-A-N. I had a friend in grade school who pronounced it crown.
Had a friend.
We're not friends
Important
anymore.
to say. Did you pull anything from Lupercalia 2020? Do you have anything?
No.
You know why you didn't? Because I already yoinked them for you.
All of it.
No. But I did pull the lovebirds. This was just like a special little ditty that we'd never done before, and it was 2 companion scents inspired by these sad, cheap vintage decorations that are probably Christmas ornaments, but there was something about the pink and green that of their plumage that made me think of, you know, Lupercalia and all of that. And anyway, it was just 2 little companion scents. And I don't wear these all the time, but I never want to put them away because there are just times when I want to get them out and smell them together. And also throughout the year, whenever I am talking to someone about BPAL and I want to show off like the kind of stuff we're doing, these always get trotted out. I'm like, you want to see something adorable and strange that smells adorable and kind of strange? And I was really, honestly, very moved to see how much of a reception these got. And yes, we did kind of engineer it that way because we hosted a poetry contest.
It's just making me nervous to watch you do that.
I'm sorry.
Or you're like holding them at such an angle to where I'm like, that oil could just spill right out.
Anyway,
it just takes one wrong move.
It just made me very happy that people responded well to them and liked the scents, because I went to the reviews and I was like, is this like a horrible thing that we have forced into the world that everyone's going to be like, yay, but also why? Which is kind of like the default reaction to most of my projects, but people really seem to love them, so that made me really super happy. And these are in my like forever pantheon of BPALs that I just want to hold on to.
And I think that they're really wonderfully representative of the sweet little birds that are now in our home.
They are. I love it when someone said they smelled old. Was that you? Someone was like, oh, it smells old. Maybe it was me. I don't know. Again, this year has been 100 years.
A blur, not complete amnesia.
Yeah. I just like it when things smell vintagey, and there are times when I don't want to smell vintagey, but like still the magic of the scent and connecting you to other times, I just think is one of the exciting things about perfume that really pulled me in. So the next thing I have chronologically is Totality from, we did this in collaboration with Hope Macabre. Again, we did a whole poetry contest about it, so it's just like, you know, has a way of...
You've really worn that one.
Can you see? This is like half of the bottle is gone.
Of course it can't see, but half of the bottle is gone.
I meant to you, not to them.
Sorry.
But you are my on-stage witness. It's like at a magic show where it's like, I need you to test the sword.
Please don't cut me in half.
Yeah.
How did they do that? No, it's fine.
Well, I know how half the bottle ended up being disappeared, but I'll never tell. This was just like a completely different scent fantasy for me. We actually got to, when we were in New Orleans right before the pandemic, we got to visit the hotel with Samantha that helped inspire the fragrance. And it's just like an incredibly weird, rich, smoky, woody fig tobacco. What is it? It's got that, is it burgundy pitch? It was just like a kind of a step into like a dark parallel world that felt really cozy for me. And the perfume poetry contest entries were just dazzling. So it was like, again, just a real bright spot of this year in which there are few. So that was on my list. That one is only available from Haute Macabre, and every now and then they do theirs pre-sale style. So every now and then she'll launch a pre-sale where people can order whatever they want, and then you get it, but it's not like available all the time. Okay, so next chronologically is, boy, it's hard to tell what came first. I could do a little research. We did Dum Spiro Sparrow, which was an ode to springtime, and it was after the pandemic had already begun to happen. At that point, early in the year, I wasn't sure if the lab would be able to stay open. I know there were just lots of questions. We didn't know what was going to happen with the postal system. We didn't know what was going to happen with any of it. So these were kind of presented as an ode to hope at a time when people were feeling really nervous and hopeless. And the one that I picked that I kept was Every Day You Play with the Light of the Universe, which was like a honeysuckle cream, which reminded me a lot of the Poinsettia gown.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I can pivot from the rose and jasmine cream of winter to the honeysuckle cream
of
springtime. Skin-warmed honeysuckle, plum, and cherry blossoms and amber cream. And this one just got pulled down off the site this last week, if they went ahead and actually did it. But it was, yeah, that one is something that I've just found really kind of deeply relaxing and affirming and warm and smooth, and the floral is just like nice and soft, and that got to me. And then, continuing chronologically, then we released the Triumph in My Song collection in response to the huge Black Lives Matter movement and protests of early in 2020. Where everything in the world came to a standstill because of murders and arrests and protests. So the proceeds in these are split three ways between the NAACP, Black Lives Matter, and the Center for Black Equity. And right now there are just the four of them that we already released, but We Wear the Mask. They're inspired by poetry written by prominent African American poets. And We Wear the Mask of the four is the one that, for some reason, I've been really interested in lavenders the past year and have gravitated toward a bunch of different interesting kind of like creamy lavenders. And this was the one from that collection that surprised me, because when we first tried them all on, I loved all of them. And I thought Apostrophe of Time was going to be the one that I would reach for the most. But We Wear the Mask ended up being the one that I would wear kind of all the time. I wear this at least once a week. It's just really soft lavender, dry woods, carrot seed and iris, sandalwood smoke. That's what I was thinking of, and wisteria. It just has like a weird pale smoke to it that blends really nicely with these other florals, which I don't know. There's a real melancholy to this perfume, which I just really love and find it very soothing. So that's how fucked up I am. Boy, chronologically, that brings us up to what, April?
I don't know.
One that I have been shouting out throughout the year ever since we released it, I think in the summertime, is Night from the Who Can Fight Against Despair collection. Really small collection that I think came out among one of our Lunacy releases that was just 4 perfumes that are inspired by different definitions. It's like Twilight, different definitions of time between night and day. And the full night one kind of surprised me. And it's just like a really dry, dark, and it has like a cacao in it. And I ended up putting this on before bed every night for months, and it's also half full. If you can get halfway through a bottle of perfume in 6 months, you are using it. So that's one that's just been super comforting, and it's just part of my nighttime ritual. And weirdly at this point, I can't imagine. It's just like built in. I'm like, what am I going to do when this is out? I'll get more.
Yeah.
So that's that. That brings us up to one that I know you have, which is the Sadie Doyle Dead Blondes and Bad Mothers collection, which was a kind of, I think, a late summer. We managed to squeeze it in before all of the Halloween and Lilith nonsense. Do you have one of those?
I do. I have Dead Blonde.
Would you like to talk about it?
What is it?
That's the one that's like the wilted corsage with the suntan oil.
Yeah, tea roses, coconut, and something else.
And Feria.
Like the hair dye?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. That's not in there. Oh, I haven't smelled this in a while.
I haven't either. I wore it more during the summer, but I haven't actually worn it a lot.
Well, this is
lately.
actually, I don't think I've really smelled this one since we first reviewed it on camera months ago. It really has a kind of like a slithering quality to it. Like
Watery.
it smells damp
Yeah.
and green and sweet and pretty. It's like a very pretty smell, except for it's been kind of like subverted,
Oh,
debauched.
Tea Rose's coconut suntan lotion and honey lip gloss. That I was like, there's another thing that is like important, and I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny too because it really does remind me, like, it smells of beauty products in a way. I
Yeah,
always love it when the
yeah.
lab makes like perfume that smells like makeup, like with the Nobody's scent that smells like strawberry lip gloss.
Yeah.
There's something really fascinating to me about being able to like just that smell and the memories and the feeling it evokes, and that you can have that smell without actually putting on the face.
Yeah, kind of like that makeup vanity smell.
Yeah,
Just like wafts of different things.
which is so funny to me because I really associate that with like the women in my life and like the homes of people. You know, there's just like a very lived-in smell.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it. The ones that I picked from that collection are the Alien Siren, which I don't wear too often, but again, I keep it at arm's length and I just smell it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm usually in a weird mood and listening to weird music when I wear this, because it's just so kind of like slippery and oily and dark, and has like a faint spice, and it also just has something kind of like a warm, something like warm and soothing in it that it's indescribable. That's, I guess, maybe what brings me back to it over and over again, is I think maybe this time I'll get better at describing it, and I never will.
Never.
It smells like literally
Not gonna
nothing
happen.
I've ever smelled in my life, and sometimes you just want something that reaches into your brain and like scratches that like weird little itch that nothing else has ever scratched before. So that one,
You know what we're talking about.
you know, you've got a brain, a really weird one too. I bet it's all wrinkly and wet and fucked up.
Wow.
That's what brains are like.
Yeah, it's true.
So, and then I grabbed the Woman at the Edge of the Woods, which I have been wearing often and kind of experimenting with layering with stuff, because this is that one of, you know, the medicine witch at the borderlands with her pockets full of all sorts of, you know, bits and pieces. And it's kind of like sweet and feminine, but in like a kind of a feral, you know, a feral way that just defies, you know, expectations. And especially as someone who lives in an urban area and hasn't been able to travel outside of it hardly at all, there's something really comforting about being able to reach for stuff that takes you to a completely different geographical zone and ecosystem, and this is one of those scents. I'm like,
Cheers really loud.
it's okay. I love you anyway. So, Woman at the Edge of the Woods, big time. I know this is, I think, one of the, maybe the most popular best-selling scent out of that collection. It's not for no reason. I'll say that. And I've been very excited to see how many people have bought and read the book as a result of this perfume collection.
Yeah.
So they can follow along. The book is fire. You should buy it for people for Christmas. Some of them won't like it, and that's why you do it. I love giving people homework as a present. That takes us up to the Liliths.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you have a Lilith.
I
or
sure
two.
do. It's Faster Kitty Cat, which I've talked about too much.
It is kind of funny because we've been recording videos as we go, and we keep mentioning our favorites. And
This one's got a good dent in it too, in terms of
Yeah.
like usage.
like a full 2 millimeters off the top.
Yeah.
Why do you like it?
It smells amazing.
Yeah.
I believe it's a patchouli, orris, butter, and sandalwood.
That sounds right.
But I think it's also a chypre, so there's like that oak moss in it.
I know this is
Oh
one
my
of
God.
the, again, one of the best sellers from the collection.
Probably because I talked about it so much.
I mean, that didn't hurt, but I know that I watched when it was even first, the perfumes were first announced, and people were kind of like doing little handsprings over this.
Yeah.
And then when the various the BPAL.org forum reviews started to come in, and people were talking about this, And you know what? It's funny because when this came out, I was like, I like this too, and I would like to wear it. And I detected this like protective response in you, where you were like, first of all, we only have one bottle of it. Second of all, this is my fragrance.
This is my fragrance. So.
And you know what? I love it, and it smells good on me, and I did wear it a couple of times. But I am happy to cede territory. I have no shortage of other beloved fragrances, and then that means it's special because I get to smell it on you.
I guess so. I've been wearing it a lot. I wore it the other day.
Yes.
I love it. I don't know. It's very smooth and
spicy,
warm and spicy, and I don't know. Kind of. It just has like a nice classic quality to it.
It's also very BPAL.
Yeah.
And I love how people can say that and like it becomes almost meaningless because you could be describing any number of possible different tones and components and inspirations, and it's like, oh, that is so BPAL, which is funny to me because then I remember that the company's output spans this bewilderingly vast range of interests and aesthetics, and you know, it's fascinating at times to think that you really have this concrete idea of what, you know, artistically we're doing, and then sometimes I realize that it's so all-encompassing that I don't even know when we're doing it or not doing it, because we're always doing something new that is also weirdly in step with our tradition. So there you go. The only one I happen to lay hands on is Rose Quartz Bedroom, another one that I know people went nuts over, which is just a really beautiful kind of like mineralic rose. And then I wanted, the other rose from that collection that I loved was the Sentence First Verdict Afterward, that I can't find in this goddamn house.
I think it grew legs and
to get away from
went
me.
into a hiding spot. It's just like gone.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah. I hunted high and low. It's in a pocket somewhere or in a bag that I don't use very often.
Maybe someone broke in and stole it.
I want to write into the lab and ask if they'll just bring me home another one, but that seems greedy because I'll find it 10 minutes later. But that was a really good
backup.
Spicy poisonous rose that I still was hungering for. This is wonderful. In the meantime, this is probably the Rose Quartz is maybe my favorite rose of the year because that one isn't here. You're going to be drinking water.
Sorry, I have allergies today, so my nose is a little stuffy and my throat is a little dry.
It's okay. That's it helps. We're not opening a lot of these really.
Yeah.
We're not really diving in or smelling that much.
I just really had to take a sip. Otherwise, I would cough.
Also,
you don't want that.
Shout out to the banana bread. I tweeted about this last week because like we made a perfume that smells exactly like fresh baked banana bread, called Banana Bread, and I haven't seen as much, noise, as much hoopla, as much falderall, as much of a kerfuffle about that one. But it's just magic. I wore it the other night. It's so funny to me. It just perfectly recreates that smell. It's one of those weird things that is like underappreciated in a large category in a year where people don't have tons of money to spend on things like perfume. I wish in a perfect world I would get to create a full advertising campaign just for Banana Bread, the perfume. We'll just hope that it manages to find enough people before the collection comes down, I guess. So then that takes us up to ours Inspiratio, which is the collection of perfumes that we did for... Do I have the book right here? Oh, I do. Oh my god. It'd be funny if it was some weird book. Sarah Elizabeth's The Art of the Occult. We did 5 perfumes inspired by classical occult artworks, which may all be found within this creepy book, which you should also give as a gift to people this year. I've been pointing out to people the turnaround right now on book sales, shipping-wise, is much faster. So we'd be thrilled if you just bought people the book and then maybe got them a BPAL gift certificate so they could get the perfumes like at their leisure. Because right now we can't really guarantee that the perfumes will arrive in time for Christmas, but they could still be incorporated into your gift. Anyway, the Wish surprised me. This is the incense of smoked candied fruits. Of all the descriptions of those 5 scents, this is the one that I think that I skimmed past because I was like, not for me. And then as we were smelling them, it was the one that really felt like it just came alive on my skin.
You backed the car up.
I backed it up, and I think I have gone on to wear this, every few days ever since then. It just kind of always gets to me, and I don't always perfectly enjoy it. It has I've noticed like different times when some note or another catches, and I'm just like, this isn't exactly what I was after, but I undeniably am still obsessed with it and still wear it a lot. So I like a perfume that's like a kind of a troubled relationship. You know, the course of true love never did run smooth. Did I butcher that quote?
I don't know. I don't know.
Or just ignorant. So anyway, that was mine. Did you pull from that collection? Do you? Oh, you do, right? I bet you have the Strega down there.
I do. I have the Witch / Strega. This is beeswax number 2. We got leather-bound tomes and rose cream, flickering flames of twin ambers, and a cascade of shadows. Black oud, teak wood, black beeswax. 13-year-old aged patchouli. I didn't know if it said 13 or 15. Cinnabar, balsam, sweet laudanum, tonka bean, and smoke.
Normally this is my job. You did a great job.
Thank you.
You're hired.
I can read.
You must have gone to grade school.
I did.
If this one had
I have put a dent in this too.
Yeah.
I love getting past that line.
If this one had more rose cream in it, I think that I would have really gotten into it. I did try it on again recently while bottling, and I was impressed. Like, an hour later, I'm like, this really is something nice. But there's something about it that just never ended up sticking with me.
I don't really even smell the rose cream. I smell the leather and the patchouli and the beeswax and some of the kind of earthier notes. It just has like a really good witchcraft kind of smell. And I would also compare it to some of our other blends like D or Quintessence of Dust, which also like leathery beeswax kind of blends. My voice is cracking out.
It's because you're a Strega now.
Oh no.
You are Strega.
It's just, I don't know what. Perfect. It was like perfect for me, and
I love smelling it on you. I mean, it's a beautiful scent.
I really love it. I've been wearing this one a lot.
It's kind of like, I think it's always fascinating when a collection comes out and you aim at the ones that you're like, that you imagine will be the most important to you, and then sometimes that's actually the way it goes, and then other times, you get that roving eye, like the meme, like the sexist meme of the guy looking back at the girl who weirdly looks exactly like the girl that he's walking with. But
yeah.
I shout out to our monthly Lunacy releases, which are monthly. They may not always be timed with the full moon anymore, because who knows what the fuck is going on.
But
However,
they sure do show up every month.
They sure do keep showing up, and the one that turned my head this year was Falling Leaves Moon. We're starting to get into the ones that are relatively recent, so it's like less clear if it will stand the test of time. However, I have worn a dent in this bottle already. It's definitely down past the line. This was out before we came out with the weenies and all the dead leaves there, so I kind of got some time to sit and enjoy with it. Sit with it and enjoy it. And it kind of is its own special universe. It has I think it might have the Dead Leaves Accord in it, but it has enough other stuff to where it really is its own unusual creation.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like a bitterness that I really like. It's got a greenness to it, which is fitting because of the little bottle illustration on the label, which I thought was charming. Just beautiful. And I crave to wear it quite often. And that brings us up to the Halloween collection, which is still currently available. Is not that far back in the rear view. It just feels like forever ago because we were working on it for a really long time before it came out. With a collection of perfumes that big, especially following on the heels of things like getting the Liliths done, the amount of work that goes into that, and the artwork, and everything. So
it's a whole tree, many branches.
Yeah, and that's what we go through on our side before we even get to smell them, which I find fascinating. Like this stuff exists as a concept, and as label art, and as a formula, and as a Word document, long before we end up sitting on a couch actually smelling this shit. So, But the ones that I have ended up holding on to most protectively are that pumpkin smut, and I am not even that much of a musk wearer, but it's just so robustly pumpkin-y. Ugh, and it smells like wet ass pumpkin. And that has really, during the times when I wasn't really feeling the season, this was the one that helped me feel like actually connected to, I mean, everything feels the same. We're in our house all the time.
It's been the same day every day since March.
Yeah, like we put up a Christmas tree, and that's nice because we can tell the difference between now and other times. But like,
yeah,
we're cut off. Like a lot of the seasonal experiences that you would go out and have, we didn't have. A lot of the family stuff that we would do, we didn't do. So like,
full Russian doll. Hey.
It is like that.
It is.
Being a person is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
So. And then with that, did you have a weenie? Do you have a weenie you'd like to share with the class? Did you pull any from the Halloween?
I have 3.
You have 3. Why don't you do one?
All right.
I did one.
Ooh. What is this? A hair gloss? Yes.
We just reviewed these.
It is. This is Gloom Meeting from our Hallowenches line, and it is sweet oak moss, vetiver, and white sandalwood. And yeah, I'm a creature
classic
of habit, and I like notes. Certain notes that are then paired together in interesting ways. It just smells freaking incredible, honestly. And I haven't even been wearing it as a hair gloss. I just spray some on my wrist and wear it as perfume. Because, I have a lot of hair, but I don't really like...
I don't do
a lot of hair gloss. This one I will, if I'm really in the mood, I'll like spray some on and then maybe a little.
Notable too that we don't even have a full bottle of it, so it won't go.
We don't.
As far.
So I'm trying to really make this last
I could get
as
you
much
one.
as possible.
Oh, I think if there's a particular kind of hell to have a cherished group of notes that you're most particularly drawn to, and then be assigned the task of reviewing every perfume that comes out and having to like one after another, when clearly you gravitate toward like the same.
It's nice, and, like soft and crisp and earthy, and has like a kind of good zombie.
It's fresh too.
Fresh zombie atmosphere.
Yeah. Fresh for that fresh zombie feeling.
Look.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, love it. I've been wearing that one a lot, but sparingly because I don't have very much.
Well,
talk about some dead leaves. Why don't you?
The only other 2 from the weenies that I have pulled that have really been, ringing my bell are dead leaves, Tunisian amber, and smoked balsam. Which wowzers! I have been layering with everything. I've been layering it with past dead leaves releases. I've been layering it. I layered it with the woman at the edge of the woods. Anything that's like woodsy, it just really amps, and it's so smoky and burny. That sounds like Bernie, like Weekend at Bernie's or Bernie Sanders, but I just mean it like in the sense of being burnt. But it really there's just something really intoxicating about it, and it's just become my like A1 steak sauce perfume, where I just add it to like everything to make it better.
Yeah.
So just great stuff. So glad I have this. And then the other one, which kind of surprised me, and I kind of wore this, I think when we did the video and I tested it, and then it kind of got under my skin, not literally, was the Dead Leaves Bourbon and Bitter Almond. I don't know, like it had a kind of like a sophisticated masculine appeal that I didn't really vibe with. I don't wear a lot of boozy scents. I don't mind them. There's something about this, especially in the dry down, especially with the bitter almond, where it just smells like kind of beautifully sophisticated and mellow and calming. And the almond is not like going crazy like it does in some. And neither is the bourbon, so it doesn't end up smelling like some kind of like body wash for men who are afraid of gender, So... And then the dead leaves is just like a nice familiar part of it for me at this point. So that was just like, and then it leaked in my backpack, and I didn't even mind. It smelled so great. So I elevated this from the shelf of like miscellaneous weenies that we have been playing around with and photographing to the one like to make it easy to grab. And I've been wearing it in the evening sometime when we're watching TV, and it's just very nice. And now I've just thrown it on the floor, because I was stifling a hiccup and maybe also a burp.
Uh-oh.
You've got more.
Take me to a haunted house, why don't you?
Yeah.
So
I would love to.
From the haunted house Halloween collection, I have Endless Corridors and Rickety Staircase. Endless Corridors is Beeswax. Hey, that's Beeswax number 3. And vetiver. And Rickety Staircase is Oak and Amber. And hey, if I layer these, that's really cool. And it reminds me of years ago we did a deserted theater atmosphere spray. And it has a beeswax and oak thing. So it kind of paired together, they actually kind of recreate that in a perfume form.
I love those really atmosphere sprays. There was one, it was all different, like, you know, haunted atmospheres. And I remember getting, when we were brainstorming stuff, we got the haunted car one. It was just like a rusted out old car. And do we still have that somewhere? Is it long gone?
It's gone.
It's long gone.
I don't know where it is.
I hope we revive that someday. And I do remember the theater one, the abandoned theater, we sprayed in here sometimes before watching movies.
Set a mood.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a theater that I grew up going to. Just kind of has that weird scent about it, where it smells really old.
Yeah. I like old places.
I hate new places.
New places, I feel like...
Blah!
I mean, check back with me in 30 years and
No.
show me how you're doing and we'll see. New places are, you know, kind of a headache. It's like you have to figure them out. Other people are excited to figure them out, so you have to compete with that. The old abandoned places. The fewer people, the better, first of all. So, the problem with abandoned places is sometimes you go to them and then you find there are still other people there, and then that's really alarming.
Well, I have 2 more.
Yeah, keep going. Keep it rolling.
Then I have 2 Menage a Trois blends. One of them is very recent, from the one that we just released. Beeswax. Hey, that is Beeswax number 4. So it's Beeswax, Cedarwood, and Bourbon Vanilla. What can I say other than I just read the ingredients to you, and so I obviously like all of these things.
Sometimes I think that Elizabeth is actually trying to impress you.
That would be cool.
I don't even know if she's watching these videos at this point because they're so goddamn busy in the lab. But if she is, I wonder if she's officially like pandering to you.
And then the other one is from a few months ago. Again, Russian Doll, No Sense of Time. Hey! It's leather, indigo, incense, and red amber.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's still on the site. Speaking of like earlier when we were talking about something tickling a part of your brain, this smells to me like 2 things.
It is still on the site.
Hey,
go on.
It's awesome. Go get it. It reminds me of a bookstore in my hometown, but it also reminds me of, in high school, this like small witchcraft store opened in my small town. I don't actually know if it's still open, but it reminds me of both of those things.
We don't even know if the town is still open.
The town is closed because of COVID. But it just like, it really does tickle that weird nostalgic spot where I'm like, it smells exactly like both of these stores. They smell different, but there was like, overall there was an incense component in both of them. And
I love
other
a store
little
with
witchy trinkets.
Incense component.
I never bought anything from the witchcraft store or the bookstore because the books were often too overpriced. I lived in a town that had only 2 bookstores.
And so you moved away.
I got out of there.
I know that it's the vanilla and the beeswax cedarwood one, but it almost was chocolatey to me in the bottle. Right off the nose. I'm like, ooh, probably just because it's dark. And it like a darkened up vanilla.
My goal, I haven't done it yet, would be to actually layer these 2. I just
do it right now.
Curious to see how.
Even though you have allergies. I'll spot you.
All right. Okay, make sure.
Okay, you ready?
Am I safe?
Safety is an illusion. You are at home observing a death-defying feat of
will they
aromatic
work together,
daring do,
or will they not be friends?
You can watch his disappointment live.
Interesting. Actually, this does layer together pretty well.
They're both here.
They're both there. I smudged them together.
Okay, interesting. Well, the experience...
I'm waiting for it to kind of like settle a little bit more, but initially I do like it, so...
The experience is not unlike that of holding both of the bottles at the same time. As one who was recently doing that, I can tell you. I like this.
Yeah.
The great thing is the bourbon vanilla sweetens up the indigo incense one in a way that is appealing, but does not ruin it. Yeah, it's delicious. I love it. You smell lovely. And
that works. That really works.
The fun thing about layering is often if you do this, you're wearing twice as much by volume perfume as you normally would be. So then you're just like booming, like blasting it out the windows, which is an experience that I cherish and love inflicting on others. So
I think we should wrap this up.
I think that,
because I'm done.
We have nothing else to discuss.
That's why we should wrap it up.
Those are our, I mean, at this point, we would have a hard time dragging it out. I think we could do it. I've watched us do it before. But
time to stop.
We have truly run out of perfumes to discuss. Make a list for us. Share your list with us. What are your best BPALs of the year? You know, I'm not going to make like a hashtag or anything silly because we're just friends talking about perfume. But I am curious to see what struck a nerve with folks and how many backup bottles they bought. So that is all for now. We will be back very soon. Yules are coming right around the corner, so
you better watch out. You better not cry. You blah blah blah.
I feel
blah,
like I'm being
blah,
threatened.
Blah.
Okay. Have a good one, everyone. Until next time.